Thanks for staying with us. The Office of the President, in collaboration with the Interministerial Anti-SGBV Task Force, has ended a two-day anti-SGBV conference. The conference was aimed at soliciting stakeholders' views on how to collectively work to prevent and end rape and other forms of sexual and gender-based violence in the country. KMTV's Anthony Kokwe has more.
The conference brought together key stakeholders from the civil society, youth, women, education, and the traditional sector of the country. Addressing the stakeholders at the end of the conference, President George Weah accepted the inputs and recommendations brought forth by the stakeholders and promised to work with his cabinet as several measures and actions are expected to be announced in the coming weeks.
Given the importance of this document, with its comprehensive proposals and recommendations for a holistic and inclusive response to the high incidence of rape and sexual-based violence in Liberia, I will convene a meeting of the cabinet on this Friday, 2 days from now, for the sole purpose of discussing this document. At the end of the meeting, my government will announce a number of measures and actions for immediate implementation as the first step to urgently address these issues.
The Liberian Chief Executive also re-emphasized calls that the fight against SGBVs cannot be left with government alone, and therefore wants Liberians to join hands in the fight.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, government alone cannot win this battle. I therefore called upon the Interreligious Council, the Council of Churches, the Traditional Council, community leaders, and all Liberians to join hands with us to win the war against rape and sexual and gender-based violence in Liberia.
Now that the conference has ended, the public, including anti-rape campaigners, are now awaiting the measures and actions that will be announced by government in the coming weeks. Anthony Kokwe, KMTV News, Monrovia.
Anthony Kokwe with that report. The Joint Committee on Waste, Means and Finance has frowned on the Ministry of Finance for unlawfully reducing the Health Ministry budget by $25 million to the COVID-19 stimulus package. The lawmaker said the ministry is vital to fight against the coronavirus, and a such decision by the Ministry of Finance was an affront to the legislature. Here is a report.
At the time we fought COVID-19 globally, that's the time we see to carry on massive reduction of health budget. It is appalling.
Counterproductive.
As national planners.
It was a shock to legislators when the Ministry of Health disclosed a massive reduction of $25 million from the health budget through the COVID-19 stimulus package.
The total budget of $80 million for the entire health sector, $71,330,000 plus passed through the Ministry of Health. Out of this amount, $25 million was used as stimulus package that was transferred from the Finance Ministry through the Ministry of Health to WFP.
On the basis of the reduction from the health budget, the Ministry of Health has requested additional $26 million to carry out its operations.
Because of not only COVID-19, but because of all of the different issues within the health sector, we are asking for a $26 million increment.
Though the Ministry of Finance was heavily lashed out, but justified the reason behind the reduction.
The full aid amount was placed in health budget, not as health operational fund, but because it is related to a health emergency. So the better classification of food aid was health emergency food aid.
Members of the Joint Committee on Ways, Means and Finance also expressed disappointment in the Ministry of Health for not being effective to their respective constituencies.
You are also submitting a draft budget taking monies from clinics at the local level that should be able to help prevent even the COVID-19 activities at the level of the county. Then I am concerned why you are asking for money.
Lawmakers also made recommendations to enable the Ministry of Health perfect its duties.
We passed a joint resolution that this government during COVID-19 should pay all health workers hazardous. We need to find out money to pay them. All hospitals, health centers, clinics budgets that have been reduced should be restored to previous year.
I support you.
As it stands now, the Ministry of Health is hopefully awaiting the legislature for onward action to its quest. Zac Sherman, KMTV News, Capital Building. Liberia's Institute for Statistics and Geoinformation Services has requested the 54th legislature to provide $1 million to complete the National Digital Census. According to its Deputy Director General Maria Gila Winner, the institution has made significant progress towards the conduct of the census. She spoke to legislators during the draft national budget hearing.
Last budget, we expected to receive $1 million, which was in our budget, but we did not get that $1 million. So this budget period plus last budget period, that's $2 million that the government of Liberia owed, the census fund to be placed into the census basket. We have already had the census resolution signed and it's in implementation. All of the international and local consultants, international and local staff has been hired through a rigid procurement process with the UN bodies. And we've also been able to join with our partners to be able to procure all of the vehicles that will be used for the census. I think it should be turned over by next week to legislators and the government of Liberia. And the training of all the geographic mappers have been completed. I'm very sure that by October, our people will be going to the field to begin the 1-year geographic planning of the entire country. And that will be leading into the counting, right after the geographic planning. So you can see how much we need the funding now from the government of Liberia, because as it stands now, I think we are already in the 2020 rounds of censuses, and other countries are also conducting their censuses around the world. And Liberia, from our status, Liberia stands to be, at the point where we are contributing the least, the government of Liberia contributing the least to our census process. And so even though we know government face a lot of constraints, we don't want government to commit the $2 million and don't pay it. So we are appealing to our colleagues from the Ministry of Finance. We are also appealing to you, our honorable colleagues, to kindly indulge so that this budget period we can be able to fulfill the promises that we made to our partners, that our government is going to also commit to the process, even though it's a little amount, but it will be committed this budget period.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Finance and the Acting Chair on Ways, Means and Finance Committee have assured legislators of government's commitment to provide the $1 million to conduct the census. According to them, the digital census is vital for national decision-makings. But first is the Assistant Minister for Budget, Jesse Kobwe, followed by Representative Elio Kafia of Bond County.
If we have not had a COVID experience, then it means that we have been, on schedule with the 3. By 18, 19, 20, 21. But we made sure on 19, 20 because of the COVID.
And the Ministry of Finance have agreed that there's a funding gap of $1 million. So we need to look in that line. We know that there's inadequacy of funding here, but we'll look and see what is possible, working with you and the Ministry of Finance to see if there will be anything available to help in that line, because we know that we come from across the country. All of the issues you're raising here that will help us in terms of our development, finding the different statistics for us is so crucial at this point. We have listened to your case and we'll make the necessary decision as we conclude this project.
Well, folks, if you're just joining us, this is a reminder that you are watching News Today on KMTV with me, Zac Sherman. Story still to come. Montserrat County Senatorial hopeful Bernard DJ Blue Benson highlights youth empowerment and tourism as priorities if elected. We still have more for you as you watch News Today. Keep watching. Thanks for staying with us. This is News Today. The National Elections Commission today began a 2-day media training for journalists in Banga, Bon County. The training is meant to educate journalists on how to go about reporting on electoral issues. KMTV's Brian Dual has more.
Journalists from across Lofat, Gwen Kemmout, Gwen Jida, Gwen Ku, Maryland County, and Montserrat counties gathered in Bon County to get a clear understanding about the voters' roll update and other elections-related processes. Speaking during the opening ceremony of the training, National Elections Commission Director of Communications, Herman Flomo, emphasized the role of the media during electoral times in Liberia. He indicated that the training is part of the Elections Commission 5-year strategic plan, focusing on using the media as a tool of information dissemination.
So the VRU training is a cardinal part of our timeline for this 2020 election. Reason being that our 5-year plan, our strategic plan, capture two of the pillars. Pillar 2 and 3 captures the media. It captures the importance of information dissemination. It captures the importance of awareness. And to do these things, of course, is the fourth estate.
Also speaking, President of Liberia, President Charles Kofi, commended NEC for the initiative while indicating that there is a need to take serious the exercise. Mr. Kofi also used the occasion to call on senatorial aspirants to desist from using the media as a center of conflict, while underscoring that there is a need for media institutions to deny those wanting to push divisive messages during campaign period.
We are gratified that this training will serve as an instrument to provide a clearer picture of the working of the National Elections Commission for all journalists across the country, because we expect the media to serve the public. If the media lacks the rudiment or the understanding of electoral matters, the possibility of conflict may exist. And who are we going to blame? We'll blame NEC for not providing the education.
The training will educate journalists, some of who, for the first time, will be reporting on elections-related issues in the country. Topics discussed at the training include voter roll update and referendum procedures and objectives. For KMTV News, Brian Dio, Bon County.
A Liberian-owned non-for-profit organization, Change Agent Network, continues to make huge impact in Liberia's education sector by providing the opportunities where thousands of students are able to acquire quality education. Since the launch of the organization in Liberia, it has constructed 4 high schools in the country and also has plans to construct additional schools across Liberia. Here is a report.
Providing quality education is about developing future leaders to the best they can be. As such, Change Agent Network has seen giving back to society, mostly through education, as they call the way to build a nation. It all began after a Liberian returned from exile, with a mindset that only Liberians can better transform the country to help reduce the level of poverty.
In 2005, when the war in Liberia ended, I thought that we as young people coming from exile, the change of Liberia rests with us. So I decided to return home with this idea of using education technology to transform Liberia. So in other words, our mission is to break the cycle of poverty, through education, sustainable development, and the hope of the gospel. Also went to the States in 2006, and upon arrival in America, I saw that America wasn't for me. And it's a great place to be. They have a lot of resources, a lot of information, a lot of knowledge. But the problem that we have to deal with as Liberians, I believe, is here in Liberia, and the solution is also here with us. We can go out there and seek advice and seek support and seek resources, but ultimately, at the end of the day, the change will have to come from the Liberian people themselves. So that brought me back home, and I had to let go of the American citizenship to come back to Liberia.
Due to the poor condition of Liberia's education sector, the organization believes that the best way to transform the country is by investing more into education.
Education, in my opinion, is the most greatest challenge we face as a nation. We cannot tell our young people to grow up and challenge the rest of the world, go into competition or go to negotiation when they don't have the education. We can build all the roads, do whatever we want to do. We can build all the schools, all the buildings, and buy all the cars and have fun. Ultimately, if our children are not prepared for tomorrow, we don't have a future ahead of us. We're just living for today.
The organization currently has 4 schools in 4 of Liberia's 15 counties, dominantly in the rural areas, where the institutions serve as a strong supportive arm of underprivileged children by delivering holistic education to them. Despite these huge investments, the organization still has future plans of covering the 15 counties with plans of breaking the chain of poverty.
Our ultimate goal is to take what we call this holistic education development center to all the 15 counties from now to 2030, county by county, border to border, so that our children, most of our children that live in rural area are even smarter than our own children that live in the city. The only difference is that they don't have the kind of opportunity that we have. So what we are doing is passing that opportunity to those children who cannot leave from Bonn to Monrovia, for instance, cannot leave from Sino to Monrovia, to have the same quality, if not even better, education than those that are in the city. And that's what we're all for to do.
With these forms of investments into the country, there's no doubt about positive improvements in the lives of the future leaders. Angeline Noah, KMTV News, Monrovia.
And joining Noah with that report. As the December 8 midterm senatorial election draws closer, neighbored partners for democratic development is calling on the National Elections Commission to include civil society organizations in its civic engagement activities. According to NIMBO's Executive Director, Eddie Jawolo, working with experienced civil society organizations will enhance the smooth monitoring and dissemination of messages to the electorates.
And we want to call on the National Election Commission to open out to civil society organizations with the expertise that have been doing this. We have done this for more than 10 years. We have the experience, we have the training, we have the knowledge how to help them. While we're creating awareness on the timetable of the election, we have realized that NEC cannot be able to audit the timetable. So, for example, on their website, on their Facebook page, up to last night, they still have that the voter roll audit will start September 1st. But actually, have been changed to September 11. So if we want to provide information to the people and we're giving them the information, and when they check on the page, the social media page is still on the 1st, it means that they will start losing credit, either in us or the NEC. So we want NEC to ensure that our information should be timely or audited on that page, so we can use that for something.
Mr. Jawolo has at the same time expressed regrets over senatorial aspirants who are engaged in the pre-campaigning across the country. Jawolo believes that the 2020 midterm senatorial elections will serve as a test case for the WIA-led government.
Notice a lot of political rally going on, campaign process going on, and elections are basically held under what they call the legal framework. It's held concerning the Constitution, the Code of Conduct, the electoral laws, and all the international framework. So the NEC have to be very strong to enforce the legal framework. You have a timetable for election. You cannot sit there and allow people to start running a campaign and you say nothing. If you don't start to punish them or say something, they won't take you serious. So we call on the NEC to ensure that the timetable is enforced. Those who are running campaign now should start running campaign and wait for time. You can have your party stop going around and running campaign. We see the militancy in our politics. We see our politics now begin to militant. People are now dressing like what we saw during the war.
What you foresee in the future that if the issue of pre-campaigning continues? What do you think is going to happen there?
The problem is like there are two areas where you see violence in election: campaign and the announcement of election results.
Yeah.
When people are running campaign, if we're not careful, that's where violence can start from. You saw what happened. What just happened in Nema. It was because they were campaigning and going for the party convention. The second one is the announcement result. These two areas, it's a very sensitive area in the electoral process where we have to be very careful, because that's where you got to be careful on how to come up with a guideline, who going to do what, where. And people should have access to public building. People should have security assigned to them. And the candidates should be protected. A lot of work we need to do. So if, for example, what happened in Nema, a network informed, and the Liberia National Police were informed, you will deploy people there. To be sure that they can counter any type of violence. We cannot allow our country to go back to any violence. So the different political parties have to work with the National Election Commission and work with the Liberia National Police or the security sector to ensure that people are security forces are deployed to where they're going to have a program, just to make sure we save the peace. So there's a lot of work we need to do. So we hope that by this time the government of Liberia have provided the funding. I know that NEC complained about receiving money to get things done. We have an election December 8th. Today September 10 or 9?
It is the 10, right? 9. Look,
we're very close.
Okay.
And if you can get money to get some of the work done, because elections is a process. If you delay the voter order, you roll into another activity, and another activity, then we'll have to force the National Election Commission to do those things that they just can't do to have a credible election. And it's a test. And I've been saying this before. This is a test to President Ware administration.
Montserrat County Senatorial hopeful Bernard DJ Blue Benson says youth empowerment and improvement of Liberia's tourism sector remains his priority moving on to the May 10 senatorial election. Mr. Benson said youths have over the years been marginalized due to limited opportunities to fully unleash their potentials. He spoke when he appeared as a guest on KMTV Morning Show.
My platform remains constant, youth empowerment, and of course tourism. Those are the two things that I've been pushing since 2018. These are my passion. As you know, everything I've done has been geared to empowering our youthful population, which is, people say 60%, but I say well over 75%. So everything I've done is to empower the youth of this country, but I think they have been marginalized. They are not enough done to enhance the capacity and capabilities of the Liberian youth. Okay. So that is one of my main passions, and also tourism. But I believe that our Liberia only hope to, or more realistic hope to economic prosperity is through tourism, and those are the two things that I'm so passionate about, and the two things I'm pushing.
The Liberia National Police has arrested, investigated, and charged a 29-year-old man identified as Jean O'Gully for illegal possession of firearm. According to police release, suspect Gully, who is a resident of Glizopie, Nema County, was arrested with a single-barrel shotgun during the September 6, 2020 riot that ensued during the recent Nema County primary hosted by the collaborating political parties. He has been charged with the commission of the crime illegal possession of firearm and forwarded to court for prosecution. And now, folks, that's how we draw down the curtains of news today. But before we go, here once again the headlines. Government and stakeholders end today's conference to fight SGBV in Liberia. Joint Committee on Ways, Means and Finance frowns on the Ministry of Finance for reducing budget by $25 million to carry out COVID-19 stimulus package. Montserrat County Senatorial hopeful Bernard DJ Blue Benson highlights youth empowerment and tourism as priorities if elected. Well, thanks for your viewing pleasure. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Zac Sherman. Do have yourselves a wonderful evening.